on a moonlit stage. Steel beasts roll a distant wage. Truckers' voices crying through the night. Tales of speed and endless fights. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels in endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels and endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely high.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's having a fine day out there in the world of trucking. I hope that your day went good today. I hope that everything that you did was good, prosperous, and awesome today. I know that today is June the 5th, 2025. It was a good on and off sunny, rainy day. But hey, we got through it okay, and everything we did turned out okay. And it's like old Steve says all the time, the most important mile is the mile that we travel home every day. And I hope that you had a safe mile home to your family today. I hope everything went your way. Everybody, I can tell that the traffic's starting to pick up. Everything's starting to get heavy out there on the highways. People are starting to go on vacation, traveling, graduations, and we got to be 100% every time in our safety record. But and that's why I always say we got to look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. Because, man, I tell you what, there's a lot of things going on a highway out there that people are not looking out for themselves this day and time. They're doing everything but driving. And we see it as professional drivers on a day in and day out basis there. But I'm glad to have my co-host with me tonight, Mr. Steve Brand. He's on assignment with something that he's got going on, and he can talk about it a little bit if he wants to a little bit later on. But anyway, I'm going to bring him on in here on his theme song. What's happening, Steve-O?
Good evening, Tim. Good evening, everybody out there. It's a beautiful day. I'm on an undisclosed location in the upper Midwest.
You're in the basement somewhere, coming live to us with the podcast, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are in the upper Midwest. It's a beautiful day up here. A lot of pollen in the air, as you can hear it in my voice still.
Yeah.
My eyes been watering, but hey, we got little drops to put in it. Taking our allergy medicine, but it's a beautiful day up here, and man, it's just awesome. And I'll be able to tell you all about it next week. But right now, we're in an undisclosed location in the upper Midwest. It's a beautiful
I got
time of year.
I got you, Steve. I got you. Yeah, maybe next time we get on here, you can kind of tell us all about it and what all you're doing there. I like that shirt you got on there. It's a nice
That's
looking
awesome, ain't it?
shirt that
That's
you got.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trucker.
check that hat
What?
out. Check that hat
Yeah,
out, baby. Check that
yeah.
hat. It's good. It's good. But
Yes, sir.
so
Well,
I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody's having a good time and being safe. And all that stuff, and it's good to be back on the show.
Yep, it is. I'm glad you got to join us tonight. And I tell you, I thought that I was going to have to go solo tonight. And, sometimes it's hard to, do these interviews when you by yourself. But we've done it before. We've done it before. But other than
Yes,
that,
sir, we have.
we always make it work. I tell you what, we got a great guest lined up for the listening audience tonight, Mr. Glen Kirk, a professional driver there, and he's going to come on and tell us about his story, about how he got into the trucking industry, some of his successes, and some of the stuff that he's working toward as we speak right now. So there's a lot going on out there in the trucking industry right now. I know all the truck driving championships for the states are trying to get underway and get wrapped up, and then of course everybody's looking forward to National Truck Driving Championship. I know that you are, Steve, for sure, because you made it from the state stage to the big stage. So I'm really yeah, I see that Facts for Drivers book. I definitely makes your head swim a little bit, don't it?
It makes your head swim, and I tell you what, if you suffer from insomnia, pick this book up. I guarantee you'll be asleep in 5 minutes. So,
I don't know, man. There's a special edition out there, and we auction it off at the Safety Drive every year, and it's one that you can put under your pillow, and it will just sink right into your head.
dude, I've been trying. I've been trying. It don't work. It don't work. But it's all good. It's all good, man. We got our sights set on the big prize where we're going to take it a stair step. We made it to there. Now we got to drive safe to get there. And when we get there, we'll take it one section at a time, you know, and do the best we can with well, what's in here and what I got to work with. And we
Right,
all know
right.
that. We all know that ain't much I got to work with. So, yeah,
Well, I want to remind the listening audience that they can catch us on the replay. They can catch us on Friday morning at 9 a.m. I'll set it up to replay then. But also, if you just ride along there, if you want to share it with your friends, we actually have every episode that we've ever done on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. So if you're riding along there and you just want to listen to me and Steve, hey, you know what? There's plenty of them on there, and a lot of good guests that we have archived with our podcast here. So I'm excited about the direction that the podcast has been going, and I'm excited about some of the guests that's going to be coming on in the future. And so, y'all just going to have to stay tuned and up to date on see who we bring on here next there. But without further delay, let's go ahead and get this stuff out of the way here, Steve. The views expressed on the show are those of the host and the guest only and do not reflect those of others. How about that?
sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. So
So,
take your
so
take your lawyer off speed dial. That's all I got to say.
no 1-800 call fair and fair or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, we run on a shoestring budget here, so hey, y'all have to forgive us sometimes. They are our opinions only.
Exactly. Hey, we're truck drivers having a good time, learning about other truck drivers, bringing you the latest and greatest news, updates, truckers against trafficking. You know, American Transportation Research Institute's been on here. Keep us up to date on the surveys.
Right.
Maybe we do the best we can. What we got to work with, I think we do a real good job.
I agree with you. I think we do a fine job. We've had Evan Shelley from TruckParkingClub.com on here before. I mean, we've had a myriad of people here. Bob and Deb Murphy on here in the past. Trucker Johnny. I want to bring Trucker Johnny back on here in the near future. He's always a good guest to have on here also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
but even what is it? What is his name? Peterbilt
71.
370.
Peterbilt 71. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
y'all go check these folks out on TikTok, man. They put out some bodacious great TikToks,
oh
and
yeah.
it's none of that real goofy stuff. It's some good content. Good content. So
It is. It is. All right. Well, we've belabored this enough. So let's bring our guest on here. Everybody, we're going to bring him in here on our champion song because Glen Kirk is definitely a champion in his own right. And so let's bring old Glen in here.
sounds good.
I don't know what you're doing with your fingers there, Steve, but what was that all about?
I'm trying to get everybody in focus here. I'm on my cell phone tonight. I'm not on my regular computer, so just trying to get everybody in focus and all that stuff. So I apologize for the fingers coming in the camera. Sorry about that.
Glen Kirk, welcome to Truckers Voices. Thank you for taking your time out to come. Hey, nice hat you got on there, brother.
I know. I got it from this guy down in Georgia about a month ago. He was just out in the parking lot trying to sell them.
Yeah. Trying to make a little bit of pocket change there, right?
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on, man.
We know that
Steve,
you're. Go ahead.
Maybe you ought to put some glasses on like Tim, and you wouldn't have to worry about putting everything in focus on your phone.
Well, that's the problem. My glasses are for distance, and if I put them on, everybody goes blurry. So I don't know. I'm just kind of messed up that way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hey, these are some brand new ones here, so I'm still getting used to these right here. So anyway, I might be looking down and up. They're progressive. So anyway, I've had progressives before, but every time you change glasses, they're a little bit different. But anyway, Glen, enough about us. Let's talk all about you because that's what our show is geared toward, is hearing the stories about how you got in the trucking industry. Why don't you just introduce yourself to the listening audience, who you are, where you're from, and just jump right into telling us about your story there.
All right. My name is Glen Kirk. I live just south of Indianapolis, Indiana. I've been in the industry for 28 years, and I've done a lot in my 28 years. I never thought I would accomplish what I have. So I started out, grew up. I'm a first-generation truck driver. My dad was an industrial mechanic for 34 years. We moved out west of Indianapolis, right off of Interstate 70. I was 10 years old, rode my bicycle about a mile down to the interstate and watched trucks drive by all day long, or for hours at a time. And I figured that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to drive one of the biggest things on the road and have fun doing it. So I actually took a vocational class in high school my senior year to learn how to drive a truck through Vincennes University. So I actually have a diploma from a college for a truck driver for getting a license. I had my license when I graduated high school. Took about a year, got my foot in the door with a local company where we manufactured roof trusses for homes. Started out small with a Super Duty with a trailer, and then drove a Ford L8000 with a 48-foot roller bed. Still hauled 16-foot wide escort loads, put a full-size semi in a driveway on a county road or in a brand new subdivision. So, as that transitions into what we do now on a yearly basis. So that helps a lot with that. Did that for 2.5 years, turned 21, said, let's go see the country, and went there locally there in Plainfield and got a job with a local company and spent 11 years running over the road. So I've traveled 46 of the 48 continental states, been to Canada quite a few times. Seen a bunch. I've tore up the roads back and forth to Florida, California, Northwest. I've been out there where they measure snow in feet, not in inches. Around here in the Midwest, that's how we measure in inches. Out there, it's by feet. So had a lot of fun. Met my wife in 2008, got married in 2009, told her I was coming off the road because I wasn't going to be a dad, away from my kids. So 2010, switched to an LTL job. It's where I'm at currently, and I love it. I was one of them guys that said I would never pull doubles. Them guys are crazy,
Right.
And now I'm like, I don't want to pull a van. I don't want to pull a van on a daily basis. Let them,
Right.
give me my doubles. I'll pull them all day long. So after I started there, took a couple years and, found out what the truck driving championship was all about, and started in 2012. Made a total fool out of myself my rookie year. It's a funny story. I went and did the pre-trip. I got scores at the end of the, when it was all over said and done, and I got a 3 on the pre-trip. So I said defect one time.
Oh no!
So the next year I go back, and the gentleman, same guy, is the judge in 3-axle. And when we got done, he's like, "You remember me from last year?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "You did a heck of a lot better job this year." So something like that. I looked at him. I said, "Well, there's nothing but improvement on a 3, so we can only get better." So I found a niche with the TDCs. I think that's everybody that does it. First of all, it wasn't really a safety thing to me. It was like, I got to drive around this course and get within 6 inches of a cone, and it was the challenge, and I love the challenge.
Right.
But it makes you a better driver. I don't think people realize that once you start doing it, it makes you see more stuff and react faster to stuff. And it's one of those, I call it a byproduct. So, you work so hard, and I'm captain for Team Indiana. I've been doing it so many years, and I'm the one that set courses. I set pre-trips. I've got more people involved to where they can do it now. And we're like I call it a fine-tuned machine, the way we operate. And we literally practice from the middle of March until today, because our competition is tomorrow. We practice every single weekend but Mother's Day and Easter. Mm-hmm. So it's, it takes away from my family. I've missed some stuff this year that I didn't want to miss, but they understand that I'm going for an ultimate goal. So, right. And in 12 and 13 and 14, I progressively got better and better. And in 2017, I was lucky enough to win in 3-axle and went to nationals. And I've kept that drive alive every single year, because I've been to nationals every single year since 2017.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Took a grand champion in 23, which I never thought I would get. It was always right there. It was that close. Could never get it. Finally got a grand champion. I guess I got one of them lucky strikes when I went to 17. And I actually won a national championship in 3-axle. Nice. So my rookie year to nationals, and I bring home a title, and then I go back in Columbus, and it was a total flop. So, that's the way it happens. You get humbled real quick when you go to nationals. So
yes,
you think you go in there headstrong and you get humbled real quick. That happens at state. You can be humbled year by year at state.
Yes, you can.
But you guys have talked about it in previous episodes that the TDC is another family. It's people I see every year. I only see them once a year or twice a year, and you want to go see them. You want to hang out with them. And I always get some slack from my wife about, all you do is talk. All you do is talk. And I'm like, well, I got a year of talking to catch up. So,
yeah.
But I've got met a lot of great people. Obviously exchanged phone numbers and talked to them. And then Parker Harrison back in 2020, well, it was actually before COVID, but because of COVID, they moved the America's Road Team selection stuff back a year. He nominated me, and man, I tell you what, you guys went through it, but my nerves was shot after that week of going through selections. That will straight tear a man down, in my opinion.
Yes.
Emotional roller coaster. I will say that, I went with Bob Bramwell, Teddy Butler, and Dave Schroeder. We went to Arlington on that Tuesday afternoon after you do, your speech. And we spent about 4 hours at Arlington soaking it up as much as we could. And, and it was very humbling that the 4 of us made the team. So right. That was kind of cool. And I've worked with all of them. I've worked with both of you. So that's relationships that and friendships that don't go away. you
No.
know,
Right.
and I honestly probably don't talk to you guys enough, but I work at night. So
Right.
you guys are
Right.
sleeping, you know, so, I mean, I talked to 6 different guys last night across the nation that are all TDC and this weekend or the next couple of weeks, you know, competing. And it's, you know, I talked to one of my fellow Indiana teammates last night, and we literally spent an hour and a half just discussing what's going to be on the course. What's it going to be this year? You know, we're going through the previous 4 and 5 years in our heads, like, oh, was that this year or that year? You know, we're trying to figure it out, but you know, we'll be surprised tomorrow.
And
So,
you're trying to think of your course designer. What does he or she like? What have they done in a couple years that they might throw at you? You know, I mean, there's 1,000 different problems that they could come up with, and they're only going to pick 6. You know,
well, and they can put one problem out there and make it 6 different ways.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't know. Our last practice was last Sunday, and I threw my team a big loop. The same size course we always practice on, I put 13 problems in it.
holy cow!
That was tight.
So, it was I was training them to be in one problem, working on the next problem.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I literally had the first problem and the 5th problem were 3 problems apiece.
Yeah.
So you were in one problem working on actually 2 more. So,
Right.
and it was one of those things that, pay attention to instructions. If you can pay attention to 13 problems on a course, then you can pay attention how to run 6.
Right.
Right.
So, it's like Murph said about a month ago or whatever on the show is you have to, find a mentor. I
Yes.
mentor my team every single year and strive to make us better and better. And we have done that. We're going this weekend to try to bring home our 5th consecutive team trophy. So Team Indiana is strong, and I'm proud to be part of that. And Indiana is not a small state. We got a lot of heavy hitters in our state. So we send a good team to nationals every single year, and I'm proud to be a part of that. And I don't want that streak to stop.
Right.
I want to be like Ina Dale one of these days and be 18 consecutive years to nationals.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
yeah. So that's what I strive for.
Right.
So Glenn, tell us a little bit about some of those names that just not last names. To tell us some of the names that some of us might recognize that's from Indiana that we might recognize that always do well.
He's a grand champion. Mike, I'll just say Mike White. He's out of Indiana. There's 4 or 5 guys from Walmart. There's guys from XPO. I'm sorry, but they're all the companies. We have probably there's 15 to 20 guys in Indiana, guys and gals that are heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what class you're in. You're up against somebody that is good. I mean, and it ultimately, you only have to beat yourself. That's the way I look at it. I'm not there to compete with anybody else but myself. If I lose, it's all here and in my abilities to drive the truck that day. So you can practice all you want, and if you just happen to wake up on the wrong side of the bed and it's not your day, it's not your day.
It's not your day.
But
That's right.
adapt and overcome. You got to make it your day. And I tell everybody that, like I said, you got to beat yourself, nobody else. Block out everybody else, what they're saying. Go do your deal. Go drive the truck. Go do your pre-trip 110% and make it happen. And I go in. I'm going to tell you right now, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm coming home with pre-trip award, first place, sportsmanship award, team trophy, and grand champ.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming out that way. And
Right.
if I come out with all of them, I'll be happy. If I come out with most of them, I'll be just ecstatic. So
Right.
I go in going, I'm going to win. You're not stopping me. I'm going to win.
Right.
Right.
And like you said, you can only beat yourself and and the course. That's what I always try to think. I think, I'm not competing against nobody else in my class. I'm competing against that course and those 6 problems every time that I compete. And if I can conquer those problems and I can get a green flag, hey, it's going to be hard to beat me because
Yeah.
I got my back room down.
Yeah. Well, Steve, so you held your book up. I got my book. She's a little more frayed around the edges than yours. What's going on? But
Well, I've got 2 of them, my friend, and I brought the nice looking one on this trip because the other one's got coffee stains in it, bent up pages, yellow
Yeah.
marks, and everything. So I brought the nicer book.
And tears.
when mine's usually done, the covers are
tears.
gone.
Yeah, tears, lots of tears. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I second the motion.
I'm not ashamed to admit it because, like you said, Glenn, we're mentors. And I will tell anybody this to learn from my mistakes. I thought I had the book down. I took the test in Ohio. I felt confident about all the answers, and I screwed up. And it cost me the grand champion in the state of Ohio, my written test. And when I got the answers to the test, I went back and I read the question. Before I looked at it, I seen my answer. I said, yeah, that's C. Flipped it over, looked at the answer. It was B. And I'm like, you're an idiot. You knew that. You knew that.
Yeah.
But I've always had trouble with tests. I mean, that's just me.
I'm the same way. I told a buddy of mine on the phone last night, I said, if I ever win the written test award, I will stand up and yell the abacadabra worked, because there's no way I'm going to get the written test award out of my own knowledge. Because, you read one section of the book and you go to the next day to read the next section, you done forgot about everything in the first section you read.
Amen.
There's only so much information you can shove in the brain. So
I talked to, you mentioned him, he's on your team, Mr. Dave. And I told him the day before the TDC, we was talking on the phone. And I said, I was taught by a teacher in school. Read the question, answer it with A. If it don't sound good, go to B. Read the question, go to C. Narrow it down. Okay, so that's what I do. And he said, what if you get to 2 that you just can't decide? I said, if you hear a quarter hit the table, it's me trying to just flip a coin. He started laughing, and I almost did it just for giggles. When I answered the last question, I almost hit a quarter on the table, but I couldn't do it. There was too many in there. I didn't want to disturb them, but yeah, and the hardest part, and maybe you got this trouble, Glenn, it's like what we do on the team. When you do it repetitively, it's easy. But a lot of that stuff in the book, we don't do it repetitively. You read it one time or 2 or 3 or whatever, and it don't show up on the test. And something else that you really didn't think mattered shows up on the test. And, but it's all good. All we can do is the best we can. You got people that are book smart. You got people that are pre-trip smart. You got people that can drive the wheels off a truck. And if they can put them all together, you mentioned Mr. Mike. I worked with him at the Indiana State Fair the year that he won the grand champion right there in Indianapolis. I met him for the first time, talked to him. Awesome guy. I had his phone number. When I heard he won grand champion, I called him or I texted him on the phone. And I said, I knew I should have hugged you harder. Maybe I could have did better,
So,
no, he's a great guy.
Yeah, and so he was my big competitor in 3-axle. I dealt with him every single year. In 16, he beat me, and I mean slaughtered me. It was like a 70-point gap from first to second.
Right.
And in 17, I beat him by 4 points. And when I was walking to the stage, he stopped and he says, that won't ever happen again. And I said, well, we'll see. So Mike's a good dude. I like working with him. He was actually at Nationals in 17, because you're a previous grand champion, you come speak at the, what was the breakfast. But I talked to him a lot at Florida, and, he was just, like any other competitor, you got this, man. You got this. Just drive the truck. Just do it,
Right.
So,
right.
But I'll tell you what, making that top 5 at Nationals, I mean,
That's tough.
Man, I tell you what, that's an emotional roller coaster right there.
Well,
Especially when you go into as a rookie at
yes,
nationals.
yes.
So your
not
first
even
time
knowing
there.
what to, not even knowing what to expect. And, you might as well say I'm going back this year as a rookie because it's been 11 years since I've been to nationals. 2014 in Pittsburgh, and I was 50 points out of the top 5. 50 points. Now that sounds like a lot, but that's not much. And when you look at where I was, and I was 20th in my class, and there's just 14 people, 15 people to the top 5. And the scores was so close. I mean, like 1 point, 2 point, 1 point, 2 point. It's like, holy crap. And that's when I really discovered how important the back room is. That can make you or break you. One test question can move you up couple positions, But what you said about a daily basis of making a safer driver, because your goal is to make it to the state level next year. So you're concentrating more on your driving and everybody around you. You're not taking your eyes off the road. You're not daydreaming or whatever. You're more alert, and it does make you a better driver.
The last
And
40 miles was rough this morning. It started raining, and I thought, oh, not today.
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Yeah,
So
it's.
go ahead, Steve. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, the last couple days before we go to nationals is going to be the toughest. You're going to think
vacation days. It's called vacation days.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. But you're going to be driving down the road and you're going to see a truck coming at you over across the median, 2 cables in the way, and a 30-foot ditch, and you're going to swear he's coming at you. But yeah, hey, what class you doing this year?
Tank.
Good luck, brother.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I'll tell you what, when I did in 19, and then we had 2 years off for COVID, so I got to do 19, 22, and 23 in flatbed because you had the 2-year gap. They let you use that for the 2-year gap. That is by far at national level, that is the tightest class in my opinion. Now, literally in 19, I got 6th or 7th. I got 7th, and it was a 22-point gap from 7th to 17th.
Wow.
And I was like, man, that's just a coincidence. No, 22, it was like a 27-point gap from 7th to 20th. And I got 8th. And it's like, holy cow, And then I go into tank this year, and you guys had Jackie Reed on.
Yeah.
I went in in 3rd place behind him.
Right.
And I had 64 points to cover. And you talked about you missed Grand Champ because of your back room this year at state.
Yeah.
I missed the title and possibly Grand Champ because I only scored on 4 out of 6 problems on the finals course.
Right.
If I would have scored on one more problem, I'd have had him. I'd covered all but 19 points.
Right.
And you don't know that when you're running the course in the finals. You just go out there and do what you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Go out and you go out and have fun with it. Sure, the nerves are there. And if any competitor tells you that they're not nervous, they're full of crap. I don't care. I've been doing it since 2012. And every single time I walk in there, go sit in the bullpen, sit down and take the test tomorrow night or go do a pre-trip, you're walking up, you're shaking them off. You're shaking the nerves off, trying to get in your game mode. Get your game face on. Let's get going. Let's do it. So,
right.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions, and it's outside of the realm of the TDC, Glenn. Tell us a little bit about some of the daily things that you deal with as a professional driver. And, you're line haul, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell us some of the things that you deal with as a line haul driver.
Well, one of the benefits that I have is the run I have. I run up to the Wisconsin state line every night, and I get to avoid Chicago. So they pay us to go around through Illinois, up through Bloomington, Illinois. So I'm fairly fortunate. I only have to deal with rush hour traffic coming in the morning back into Indy, and really, honestly, if there's a ball game or something going on in Champaign, it gets busier Bloomington. So I have my biggest concerns at night really is animals and drunks. So, that's the big things you're looking out for. So I'm very fortunate not to be on a busy run, with like going to Nashville or St. Louis. So,
or Atlanta, Atlanta,
or Atlanta. Oof. Tim, when I was down there with you in March, it'd been a while since I drove in Atlanta, and I went, this is for the birds.
every day, Glenn, I deal with that every day. So
I
don't know how you put up with south of Atlanta, north of Jackson. That stretch of road right there. I don't know how you put up with that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's patience, and and you get used to it, and you expect somebody to do something stupid, and when they do something, you're not surprised.
Yeah.
No. And like I make the joke when people say, "How do you do that every day?" Well medicated. I mean, I'm not serious, but I just tell them I'm well medicated. But I was going to add,
gotta be a little crazy too.
yeah,
that helps.
Can't be right. But I was going to add one more to your nightly run. Animals and drunks. What about that third shifter? That third shifter's getting off in the morning, and now that it's getting daylight earlier, that third shifter's been working all night, and that sun's coming up, and they're getting drowsy. That's got to be a little concerning. And of course, you see the same thing we do. People playing on their phones all the time.
And that is the worst. It's 7 out of 10 cars, easily.
Yes, sir.
And especially coming in the morning and rush hour, it is just, it's I don't know how people do it. It's phenomenal. I just, and as professional drivers, I mean, I've got the IMTA license plate that says put the phone down, and
right.
Mine's in a holder all the time, but it's like, I just don't. And when you're following somebody, you can tell if they're on their phone or not. Just following them, if they can stay in the center of their lane going down the road,
right,
or whatever they're doing. So, but yeah, I actually wait. The sunrise helps. Sunrise actually helps me. It's that 4 to 5:30 in the morning. That's my struggle point. And that's, to me, that's like when the darkest. Right before the sun comes up or starts to come up, and that's my struggle zone. So,
and I tell people when I go on these events and stuff and talk about distracted driving, I see people holding their cell phone like this. They think it's hands free. It's still in your hand, folks. It's still in your hand, and it's just, and this, they got it down here below the dash, but their head's looking down, and you can tell their eyes are going right because they're coming at you. And it's like, come on, folks, get talk to text. I mean, if a redneck like me Siri can understand me, she can understand just about anybody,
Well, not only that, how many people are driving around with vehicles that you can connect a phone to your vehicle? It's pretty much in everything nowadays. And I mean, hey, with what we do, when you get in a rental car, with what we do sometimes, that's the first thing I do is connect my phone to the rental car.
Yes.
So
exactly.
It's available in everything, pretty much. So that makes it easy, in my opinion. But
and as y'all can see, I got my headset on tonight. I mean, this thing goes with me everywhere. And I tell you what, I don't know how long I've been wearing a headset, but I fought this thing. I fought it. I said, I'm not doing it. And the first time I got it and mounted my phone on the dash, I thought, oh, what was you thinking for fighting this? This is such a, and Glenn, you can vouch for this. You go in a conversation and somebody goes silent. Well, it's because they're in heavy traffic. They're not listening to the conversation no more. They're focused on what's going on around them and everything. But, what do you prefer? You prefer driving days or prefer nights?
So I've pretty much been night shift line haul for 15 years now, because I'm literally like 8 days away from my 15-year anniversary. And then when I ran over the road, the last 2 years running over the road, I ran team with a good friend of mine, and I usually ran the night shift there. So I'm really accustomed to it. So that makes it easier. You know,
Right.
when you train somebody and you take them out on night shift and they make it 2 hours in, they're like, "Oh, I'm tired. I need to take a nap." And I'm like, "Come on, we got 8 more hours."
Oh, shoot. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
I want to just let everybody know that if you see the scrolling memo down there at the bottom of the screen, we want you to join the conversation. We want you to call 251-616-2151. If you got any questions for Glenn or comments or anything like that, hey, here's your opportunity. Give us a call. We would love to have you on the show there. So I'll be listening out for your calls. But like I said, 251-616-2151. All right. Well,
Right, look at that.
wrong.
There,
Go ahead. This ain't the show. So hold on,
Oh.
okay?
Man, he asked, he received, huh?
You ask and you receive for sure. I'm gonna mute my mic, okay?
all right.
Steve, what class are you in this year, Steve?
Straight truck.
Straight truck, really? What
Yes,
what
sir.
made you go straight truck?
Well, last year we had 8 people sign up in Dayton, and because of a family matter, I did not sign up for the TDC, and then the family matter got canceled, and so I went up and volunteered. Well, the 8 people that I was helping get prepared for it out of my center, yes, sir.
We have a phone call. So who do we have on the phone line here? Hey Tim, let me turn you up some so everybody can hear you here, okay? Hey Tim, can y'all hear Tim now?
No, sir.
Nope.
Go ahead, Tim.
I don't hear nothing.
You're not hearing nothing?
No.
No,
No,
sir.
Tim, they're not hearing you. Are you hearing me? Okay. For some reason, you're not coming through on the phone line here. Let me see if I got it plugged in just right. All right, Tim, let's try it there.
No, sir.
Y'all
No,
can't
sir.
hear him. Okay,
No, sir.
Tim, I'm sorry, but I had to move some stuff around on my studio, and some things got out of kilter here. So anyway, I'll tell them what you had to say there. I'm sorry about that, Tim. We'll do it. We'll do it. All right, thank you, Tim. Okay, I can hear him on my end, but for some reason I must have something that's not plugged in right here. So my apologies there, right?
Okay.
But you go ahead with your question there, Steve. Go ahead with what you're saying.
So anyway, I'll try to condense it down. I'm helping everybody last year, and 8 people, 8 classes, other than step band. Well, I couldn't get them talked into it, so kind of talking to them, I was kind of like, go for this, go for that, go for this, and nobody wanted to do straight truck. And I said, you know what? The guy's been pulling doubles for 29 years. I'm gonna go way out of my norm. So I jumped in a straight truck, and I was very blessed that day, very blessed. And I drove a brand new Freightliner, and I had never been in one. Been practicing in Pete's and Kenworth's and everything. And I jumped in the truck. You know how it is. You try to find everything you can find, staring at the truck as you're walking up. Try to find little points and everything. And I just drove the truck. When he said release the brakes and go, driver, I just drove the truck. And when I come out, I went in, did my pre-trip. I went to the room, uh, put my pre-trip bag down, grabbed my phone, grabbed me a Pepsi Cola, went straight to the course. 2 guys run up to me and said, dude, the first 3 problems, 150, 150. And then they started watching the video and they said, you scored on everything on the last 3. We don't know what you scored, but you scored. And it's like, oh boy. So got to feeling pretty good. We go to the banquet. He called 3rd place. He called 2nd place. And I'm like, maybe. And he got the words driver of the year out of his mouth. And my wife and my daughter was screaming so loud, I didn't even hear my name get called. So, and I'm like, okay, whew, okay. Well, then when I seen my test score, I got disappointed. So I've been in my undisclosed location the last 2 nights trying to read and trying to answer some questions and things like that. But yeah, it's like I missed a year. I'm just going to do something out of the norm. I'm just going to see what happens.
Right.
So I went
Yeah.
straight truck. And I missed 3 things on the pre-trip. I was worried about my time, but when I grabbed the door handle, he said 1 minute. I'm like, phew, okay, because you only got 6 minutes. And it's like, I was thinking old chubby boy here was moving too slow, you know. So, but you know how it is, Glenn, and everybody out there does that. I mean, you mostly got a clean truck. You can usually pick out the defects, but you will walk right by something. Because your
Right.
eyes, your brain, your hands, everything's moving so quick, and but
And
yeah.
you'll
So
touch something and not realize it too. You'll touch
yes,
it and slide your hand right across it and not even
yes,
realize it.
yes,
So
yes, exactly, exactly.
I
I was gonna go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I know all about the wife being ecstatic and not being able to hear your name being called. Um, my wife starts to get excited when they call third place and it's not my name every single year. So she's all giddy, and even it's the other guys and that I compete with in our team. It's like, oh, they didn't call his name, and they didn't call his name, and then it's every position. Oh yeah, I know all
Hey,
about that. So
that's one thing. That was about the second thing on the agenda whenever I accepted the driver of the year, is I called out my wife. And I said, that's not only in this situation, it's TDCs, it's anything and everything that their counterpart goes up for. The wife or the husband is there for support.
yeah,
And that's what all drivers need. Even if a driver doesn't compete, every time he or she leaves, their support system sitting at home thinking about them, helping them
yeah,
out. That
yeah,
tip that hat to that support system.
yeah. And that's like
But what
I get a bunch of people that ask why I don't do twins, and I tell them I pull them every single day. I don't want to drag them around the
right,
course.
right,
I look at it this way. Sure, it's a challenge. It's a competition. It's a challenge, but I do something I don't do on a daily basis to make myself work harder to
right,
accomplish it and defeat it and understand how a flatbed can operate different than a box than a van. A
right,
flatbed twist.
right,
The twist beams on them, they'll twist. It will affect the way they turn and the way they pull, and tankers are the same way. It all depends. Tandems are all the way back on a tanker most of the time, within a
right.
foot or so. It's just the way the equipment is, and making it a challenge, for me to make me work harder to accomplish it and make it, where I've won. So
Well, with the flatbed, I pulled a flatbed for about 8 months early on in my career, and back and forth Chicago out of Southeast Missouri. Took lumber up, brought steel back. And I never paid much attention to it. They always use a spread axle, but you would really be surprised how much that back axle slides. And if that's the one you got a score on, and you go bending it too tight to the right or too tight to the left, that front axle will pull that back axle completely away from that problem. You know,
yeah.
people's like, oh no, there ain't no way. I said, go out and follow one. Go out and watch how it moves, you know. But hey, I want to go back to early on in your career. You said you're a first generation truck driver. How did your family react when you told them you wanted to get into trucking?
Fully supportive. They did not have anything bad to say about it. My mother's side of the family, farmers. She was born and raised in Mississippi, and then they
Right,
came up to Indiana. So, big equipment in the fields and trucks and stuff. I mean, I had that. If I've baled hay, I've baled straw. I did all that stuff as a kid, and that stuff didn't affect me on how to drive it. So,
right, right.
they were fully supportive, and they still are. I mean, they'll be
Was
there
was
Saturday.
Right.
Go ahead.
Was they fully supportive whenever you decided to step up and go 48 states because you was going to be gone a lot longer? You was going to be gone farther away from home. Was they still supportive?
I lived at home until I was 22 because I was only home about a day and a half a week.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean,
You
I'm
know,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
second
and the
generation, so but my mom kept asking me, "Are you sure you really want to do this? You
yeah.
leave first of the month and you don't come back till the middle of the next month." And I said, "It's my job, Mom. It's what I love to do."
See, that's
So
where I was fortunate. The company I was with here locally, it was out and back. And
right,
I ran Miami, Florida for 4 years, every single week. I left every Wednesday, back every Sunday.
right,
So, I had a schedule, I was a set deal, but then once I quit running Florida and started running California, it was still, you could make it out and back in a week. And then I got a day and a half, 2 days off, and then I was right back at it again. So, um,
right.
I had somewhat of a schedule. Even when I ran team for the last couple of years, we had a set run. We were home Saturday and Sunday. So
Right,
that was,
right.
I wasn't one of those drivers that has to go out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. I
Okay,
I
okay.
probably would have never been able to do. That would have, even
Yeah,
as a single guy, not being home for 3. No, I wouldn't have been able to do that. That wouldn't have been on my realm of possibilities.
yeah. See, that was the big factor when I met my wife. I went to work for her parents, and I was gone 4 or 5 weeks at a time. Then I'd come home and I laugh. All these companies say you get a day at home for every week you're out. I'd get home on Friday night and back out Sunday morning. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, strip the truck, clean the truck, do my laundry, throw the stuff back in, and I'm going again.
Yeah.
And when we had Cody, my first one, I pretty much missed the first 3 years of his life. And I said, I'm done. I'm going LTO. I'm done. And in the beginning of LTO, I'd leave on Sunday night, be back Saturday morning, but I didn't have to go back to work till Monday night. So,
Yeah.
but it's tough on the family life, you know.
Well, and my wife always says that I'm like an over the road trucker now because I work nights. I come home and sleep during the day. So
Right,
I wake up and see everybody for maybe an hour, and I'm out the door and gone. You
right,
know, it's
right.
nice now that school's out and the kids are home, and I get to see them when I come home and spend time with them. But when school's in session, it's a rarity to see them for more than an hour every day on a
Right.
daily basis. So
Well, one last question. And I like to ask this to drivers. You've been out here 28 years?
yes,
Hey,
Is that
sir.
what you
Steve, can I
said?
break in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to see if y'all can hear him on the phone now.
Okay.
Tim, you there? Can
I
y'all
can't
hear
hear.
him?
No, can't hear
Okay.
nothing.
All right. Tim, I'm sorry. I tried to fix it, but I'm going to have to work on it a little bit later on, okay? All right. Bye-bye. Well, Steve, you see what happens when I move everything around? I get all the technical stuff messed up on here.
That's all right. That's all right. That just proves this show's live, baby. You never know what's going to be said or what's going to happen. What was it? We had the dog barking the other night with Herschel on. Yeah, the dog was howling.
Yeah,
So,
we was,
that's pure. That's live.
we was
That's
playing the
live.
video, and they had bagpipes in the video, and the dog started howling and everything else. So you never know what's going
Well,
to happen. That,
Right.
that
hey,
that
I'm
first
gonna.
phone call, that first phone call that come through was my daughter. She forgot I was live on air.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But I'm going to ask this
I'll-
one. I just looked at the clock. I'm going to ask this question, and I try to ask it of everybody. If you had it to do over it again, would you do it different? Your trucking career.
that's a good question. That is, I don't know. Is doing what I've done, where I've been, what I've seen. I don't think I'd change much.
Right.
It's been a hell of a career. I've enjoyed it a lot, and I tell trainees when I get them in the truck, my windshield's my office. It changes every single day, and I joke with a guy the other day. We were on the phone, and I don't remember who it was, and I said, "Man, the sun's coming up earlier. I don't remember seeing this part of the country besides it being dark, and it's just Western Indiana or Eastern Illinois, It's like,
Right.
I've been waiting for this to happen. We started joking about how when something happens, you break down or whatever, and it's 3 hours later and you're driving down the road in daylight and you're like, I didn't know that was there, so.
Right. Yeah.
I've had a great career. I don't think I'd really change anything. I mean, all the experiences I've had, the good and the bad, it's the people I've met, and it's ever encompassing, the people you meet, and I meet somebody different all the time,
Right.
or you touch base with somebody you haven't seen, in 2 or 3 years, and you see them on Facebook, and you're like, oh, I need to reach out to them. I still got their phone number, and you call them, and it's just like it was yesterday you talk, so.
Yeah, we're walking around the truck show back this spring down in Louisville, Kentucky, and I mean, there's thousands of people, and I run into 4, 5, 6 people that I know, have met a couple different times, and my wife looked at me and said, "Do you know everybody?" I said, "Well, you just, where I'm at now, I've run into a couple people. I don't know them; they don't know me, but we know mutual people."
Yeah.
And we sparked up a friendship just because of having the same friends. But I agree with you. I don't think I would change much because I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason. And I think everything in my 36-year career has happened for a reason. There was a reason why that I did not go off the road sooner than I did. Now, what that reason is, I have no idea. But I tell you what, I learned so much. And if I had the chance to go back and do it over, yeah, there's a couple little things that I would do different, but for the most part, no. And I like asking drivers that question because, it's tough being a truck driver. It is. And you can make it tougher on yourself. Sometimes you just got to go with it. You just got to let it flow,
Yeah. You made the comment about your wife asking if you know everybody. Mike's
Yeah.
sitting right back here behind me. She goes, Well, perfect example. At Louisville this year, we're walking around the show, and I run into my buddy I used to run out of Florida. His handle's LA Rookie. I haven't seen him in 23 years, 22 years. And he walked up, he goes, "How you doing, man? Good to see you." It's just like that. We're friends on Facebook, but it was just like we just caught each other in passing in the hall. And he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And it was like nothing. I'm going to have to give my kids ice cream or something because they've actually been quiet for almost an hour. It's amazing. So.
Hey, you got 2 great kids, man. I remember when me and my wife running into y'all down there at the truck show. Got some great kids, man.
I got a third one, but he don't hang out with us much. He's a 20-year-old, so he,
right,
too good for the parents,
Yeah, you got great kids, man, and you got a great support team there. Whether it's your job or the TDC or the road team, you've got a great support team. And like I said a while ago, that's what every driver needs is that good support. Him or her needs that support. But
Well,
it does.
We are at the top of the hour, and I tell you what, this hour always goes by fast, Glenn. We do appreciate the time, the conversation. I really, really wish we could have filled some calls. My fault. I had to change some stuff around in here. I had new hardwood floors put down in my top room up here, and anyways, I had to break all my equipment down the other day and try to get hooked back up. Hey, there you go. It didn't all go together like I wanted it to,
Well, guys, I really appreciate being on here. I thank you. It's an honor. It's pretty cool. I've listened to a bunch of the shows, on the replays. I don't get to listen live, but, it's an honor to be here. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And you guys have a great night.
Yeah, and best of luck to you this week. And I hope that, everything that you got your mindset on comes to pass. So, hey, go get them. Go get them.
Steve, I'll see you in Minneapolis, sir.
Sounds good. And again, thank you to your family for giving you up for an hour to come on the show. Really appreciated it. Best of luck to your team, Indiana. Best of luck to everybody. if you see Miss Barb, tell her I said
I will.
hello.
I
So I
will,
said
because her
hello,
husband will
and-
be in the pre-trip, so I'll see both of them. So
Tell them both I said hello. Haven't
Will
seen
do.
them in a couple years. So the last time I went over and worked in Indiana, but tell them I said hello. Best of luck to everybody. Hope the weather's good for everybody, because boy, it sucks when it rains.
we were joking about the weather Sunday. What's it like next Saturday? Let's not talk about it. Let's not even mention it.
Exactly. But
So-
thanks again for coming on, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
So, Glenn, we always end the show with a word of encouragement and advice. Do you got any encouragement or advice to anybody that's got anything going on with the TDCs?
You got to get mentally there. If you're not prepared mentally when you walk through the door, then you're not going to do anything. I'm not talking just the written test. Your mindset has to be on that TDC.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm sitting there in the bullpen, I bet I drive that course in my head 100 times. You've got to have a game plan. Write everything down. If you got questions, write everything down. Take notes on everything, because you don't want to be that person that goes out and totally screws up on the course and doesn't do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
We've all been safe for a year or whatever. To be there, you want to give it your best shot and do the best you can.
Right. Appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Hang on till after the show goes off. We'll get right back with you after the show ends. But Steve, word of advice?
God bless everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Tell your friends, tell your family. Tune in every week and listen to the replays. Be kind to one another. And hey, love y'all. And like I always say, most important trip home.
Absolutely. And we appreciate everybody listening in the audience. We appreciate y'all tuning in. You're our friends, you're our family, and we want you to be safe out there. Steve and I, we do this podcast because we want to hear your stories of how you got into the trucking industry, some of the trucks you've driven, and some of the stuff that you got going on. And it's always a pleasure to have professional people on there, and because we all have a common interest. We all love this industry that we're in. Hey, y'all be safe out there. Weekend's coming up. Enjoy your weekend. But hey, do it as safe as you can. And remember, we deliver success through being safe. Good to have you here on Truckers Voices. See you next time.
Tim and Steve hit the highway bold and free, with diesel dreams rolling on heavy steel. Every mile is a tale they've got to tell. In the night, their stories start to swell. Truck stops light up with their laughter and cheer. On the open road, there's nothing they fear. Friends gather round, sharing thrills and strife. Life in motion, this trucking life. Hailstorms and endless winding lanes, old familiar tunes driving through the rain. Flat tire fixes under starry skies, fueling up on coffee fire in their eyes. Truck stops light up with their laughter and cheer. On the open road, there's nothing they fear. Friends gather round, sharing thrills and strife. Life in motion, this trucking life. Memories of highways inked in their minds.